is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Jarvis Bunny with your VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019. In our lead stories nationally, Newtown man stabbed to death by family member in St. Kitts, and Prime Minister Harris denies corruption allegations, calls an opposition leader to be a statesman. Regionally, Dominica's Prime Minister maintains that the time has come to make way for a new party leader. Internationally, U.S. trade deficit surges to 5-month high as imports soar. And in sports, England reaches semi-finals of ICC World Cup following win over New Zealand. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now on to the national news in detail. One person is in police custody assisting with the investigation into an incident which resulted in the death of a Newtown resident. According to a police communique, law enforcement officials received a report of a wounding and upon arrival to the scene found the body of 58-year-old Davis Manners lying motionless in his home with multiple stab wounds about his body. The incident occurred on July 2nd, 2019 at about 8 p.m. The district medical examiner was summoned to the scene and pronounced Manners dead. Personnel from the forensic unit processed the scene and took items of evidential value into custody. Investigations are ongoing. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, has denounced corruption allegations against his Team Unity administration by the opposition St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Dr. Harris's administration has been accused by the opposition of paying criminals to keep the peace of the country. In responding to a question at his monthly press conference held on Tuesday, July 2nd, Dr. Harris vehemently denied the allegations, calling it nonsense.
The question of the payment for crime really is a nonsense. And I feel so sorry for what Dr. Denzel Douglas has become. We must ask ourselves, when we had this upsurge in criminal activity, was it the Labour Party that was paying the criminals? Were they paying the criminals to do crime? So that he could now deduce that in a season of calm, it has to be that the government is paying them. Well, where is the evidence for such nonsense? It is a desperate act by a desperate man who is so unpatriotic. And all of his actions so far shows that clearly.
Prime Minister Harris further called on Dr. Douglas to be a statesman.
It is unpatriotic and hypocritical for Denzel Douglas to speak and cry. And the country should never listen to him, for he has been an absolute failure. Now that you're having a turn for the better, let him be statesman. And congratulate those persons who are working hard to redeem the peace in the country. Let him congratulate the police officers who are out every night, doing hard work, leaving their families to contain the activities of known criminals in the country. But he cannot do that. So the country is better off without looking back at Denzel Douglas.
Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Over 200 persons are set to benefit from the special cost-cutting initiative introduced by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. The initiative significantly reduces the costs for commercial and industrial lands in 12 different locations across St. Kitts and Nevis. The special land prices, which has been reduced from $7 to $4.50 per square foot, forms part of the Team Unity government's goal of encouraging real property ownership in the country. The cost-saving initiative will also assist persons to more quickly complete their purchase. According to Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, this decision will help citizens and residents move from lessees to landowners. The 12 identified locations for this cost-saving initiative by the government are namely Canada Industrial Development, Cunningham Industrial Estate, Keyon Commercial and Institutional, Lemon Hill Commercial and Industrial, Tabernacle Commercial and Industrial, Shadwell Industrial Estate, Pine Garden Commercial, St. Peter's Commercial and Institutional, St. Paul's Commercial, High Point Commercial and Institutional, Farms Industrial, and New Guinea Industrial. The offer for these commercial and industrial lands will last for a 12-month period. St. Kitts and Nevis Foreign Service Officer and Chevening Scholar Sonia Buddy Thompson has been selected as the only Caribbean applicant to attend the prestigious Young Diplomats Forum taking place in London this week. Buddy Thompson was selected as the only Caribbean native to participate in the event out of 700 applicants from around the globe. Mrs. Buddy Thompson, who is also the clerk of the National Assembly, was given the opportunity to visit and tour the Facebook Europe headquarters as part of her first day of activities. She joined 74 other delegates digging into sessions on diplomacy in the 21st century and the semantics of digital diplomacy. Buddy Thompson received congratulatory messages from several officials, including Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Senator Akila Byron Nisbet. 2 ambassadors accredited to the Federation, namely Her Excellency H.E. Sherry Tross and Her Excellency Verna Mills, were recently given additional responsibilities aimed at better serving St. Kitts and Nevis in the diplomatic sphere. The announcement was made on Tuesday, July 2nd by Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris at his press conference. Her Excellency Tross, who is St. Kitts and Nevis's High Commissioner to Canada, will also serve as St. Kitts and Nevis's non-resident ambassador to Mexico. In addition to serving as St. Kitts and Nevis's ambassador to the Republic of Cuba, Her Excellency Verna Mills will also serve in the capacity as ambassador to Ghana, and Her Excellency Sherry Tross was appointed as the High Commissioner of St. Kitts and Nevis to Canada in February 2018. In March 2014, Ambassador Mills was assigned by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to spearhead the operation that resulted in the establishment of the Embassy of St. Kitts and Nevis in Havana, Cuba. Nivision-born financial consultant Mr. Curtis Ambrose Byron will host a seminar at the Women's Training Center next to the Irishtown Community Center in Barcy, St. Kitts on Thursday, July 4th at 7 p.m., which will focus on how to multiply money in the financial markets. A similar session was held here on Nevis on Tuesday, July 2nd at 7 p.m. Mr. Byron, who lives in Antigua, said that he decided to come back home to educate Nivisians on how to earn money by trading. When asked if he seeks to educate the public through the seminar, Mr. Byron said,
"That is probably my main focus. Educate them and show them that there is an opportunity to earn money basically outside of Nevis. Obviously, all of this is online. I don't want to get into the details of the process, but it's obviously online, whereby you would set up your trading account and begin to earn. But before you earn, you have to learn."
Mr. Curtis Ambrose Byron. The seminar is also free of charge. The Nevis Theatre Guild, NTG, in collaboration with the Culturama Secretariat, will be hosting a dramatic arts festival at the Nevis Performing Arts Centre Park from Sunday, July 21st to Saturday, July 27th. The event will commence at 8 p.m. nightly. NTG is a non-profit organization which seeks to make theatre productions a part of Nevis's culture. During a press conference held today, Wednesday, July 3rd at Knee Park, Managing Director of the Nevis Theatre Guild, Mr. P. Clayton Huggins, explained what the organization hopes to achieve through the Dramatic Arts Festival.
One of the things I notice about our society is that we have a limited range of activities for people to participate in. And I know that because for 5 years I did a monthly poetry reading. I'm an associate with Poets in the Square. And you can get people to attend very easily a dance. You can get people to attend certain kinds of functions, music and so on. But when you put on productions The audience is there, but it is not as wide as for other cultural practices. And what we want to do is to make theatre almost like a natural part of the cultural landscape.
Mr. P. Clayton Huggins. The Honeybee Theatre of Antigua, NTG, and Next Generation of Nevis and O'Loughlin Tatum of St. Kitts will be featured in the festival. The admission fee for children is $20 and adults pay $40. And lastly, in our national news segment, St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris extended hearty congratulations to the government and people of the United States of America, USA, on the occasion of the country's 243rd anniversary of independence. The United States will celebrate independence on Thursday, July 4th. Prime Minister Harris stated, and I quote, "The government and people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, where Alexander Hamilton was born, share in Americans' pride over your nation's great accomplishments that have spanned more than 2 centuries, largely owing to the foresight and fortitude of the founding fathers, of whom he was one of the most preeminent," end quote. He added that on behalf of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis, "I wish America's diverse people, including our fellow nationals who live there, a very happy 4th of July and a prosperous future for all of their sons and daughters." Additionally, Prime Minister Harris reiterated his government's commitment to continue working with the U.S. government in championing the values of democracy. Independence Day is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the Declaration of Independence of the United States on July 4th, 1776. And that's it for our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. Regional news comes up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for 2, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back on the one to the regional news. In Dominica, whether he's serious about his decision or not, it appears that the leader of the Dominica Labour Party DLP, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, is probably becoming wary of being at the helm of the party. That's according to DominicaNewsOnline.com DNO. Skerrit, who has led the party since 2000, told Dominicans living in St. John's, Antigua, on Sunday night that the time has come for him to make way for new blood. This is not the first time that Skerrit has made such pronouncements. Back in February 2016, he told supporters at a DLP meeting in St. Joseph that he had no intention of contesting the next general election as a prime ministerial candidate. However, he had changed his mind because he wants to defeat the UWP one more time, since members of that party have made him angry by doing damage to Dominica. However, this time he maintains that he will move aside to allow for new ideas, talents and energy in the party. According to DNO, Skerrit was quoted as saying, "I have already made it clear that this will be my last election as leader of the party. Those who will no longer be serving as parliamentary representatives and ministers, according to the Prime Minister, will serve in other capacities." Out of Haiti, the present situation in Haiti is not encouraging. Fueled by ongoing protests, the consequences of years of mismanagement and corruption, the effects of Haiti's vulnerability in the face of climate change aggravate existing threats to healthcare, peace and security, have some experts expecting the worst in the coming months. The European Commission's Directorate General for European Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid Operations ECHO fact sheet on Haiti, updated May 21, 2019, reads acute food insecurity and malnutrition, epidemics and the humanitarian needs generated by the ongoing migration crisis require sustained humanitarian assistance. Haiti faces critical food shortages in 2019. Between April and June, more than 5 million Haitians are not able to put food on the table, of which 2.6 million people require urgent food and nutritional assistance. The prevalence of acute malnutrition among children under 5 years of age remains high and above World Health Organization WHO emergency levels in several locations, including the Northwest Department, end quote. President and former Deputy Paul-André Gauconet told Prensa Latina that all studies that they have done since 1986 to date proved that Haiti could produce rice, be self-sufficient, and export it in large quantities. Gauconet operates an agroecological plot in the vicinity of the Artibonite Valley, one of Haiti's most important rice-producing areas, said that a bunch of the Haitian peasantry produce in the Dominican Republic the same foods that could be harvested in Haiti. Out of Barbados, the search for 2 American visitors who disappeared without a trace while jet skiing a week ago has been called off by local authorities. The United States, which was helping with the search, has also withdrawn its assisting aircraft. The search by the Royal Barbados Police Force, the Barbados Coast Guard, and the Regional Security System, later joined by the U.S. Air Force reconnaissance aircraft, began on the afternoon of June 24th after 32-year-old Oscar Suarez and 25-year-old Magdalena Deville, who were visiting from New Jersey, rented a jet ski at a beach on the west coast of the island for a half-hour ride but never returned. They were last seen on CCTV heading out to sea in a southerly direction. After the first 72 hours with neither of them being found, Prime Minister Mia Mottley announced that the search for the couple would be extended another 72 hours, saying her government was doing all that is humanly possible to find the Americans. And lastly, in our regional news segment, out of Jamaica, the St. James Municipal Corporation has doubled its support to small entrepreneurs in the parish under the Local Economic Development LED program. Chief Executive Officer CEO at the corporation, Gerald Lee, said that $10 million is being spent this fiscal year to assist some 400 persons in push-starting business operations. Approximately $5 million was allocated under the program during the last fiscal year, which benefited 200 entrepreneurs. Lee was speaking to JIS News at the 2019 LED program launch and training session for grantees at the Montego Bay Cultural Center on Thursday, June 27th. He noted that the LED program, which is an initiative under local government reform, seeks to engage persons in economic activity that can allow them to improve their livelihood and take care of their families and ultimately empower communities. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back on the one to the international news. The U.S. trade deficit jumped to a 5-month high in May as imports of goods increased, likely as businesses restocked ahead of an increase in tariffs on Chinese merchandise, eclipsing a broad rise in exports. The Commerce Department said earlier today the trade deficit surged 8.4% to $55.5 billion. The BBC's Andrew Walker reports.
These trade deficits as a sign that the United States is losing business to other countries and that those others are trading unfairly. It's not a widely shared view among economists, but it is the motivation for the more assertive approach he has taken to trade policy. The new figures show exports increasing, but imports rising even more. That could partly be importers anticipating further moves by the Trump administration by stocking up ahead of possible increases in tariffs, trade taxes on goods from China.
Protesters have clashed with police across Israel following the funeral of a teenager of Ethiopian descent who was shot dead by an off-duty officer. Thousands took to the streets of several cities on Tuesday, blocking roads with sit-ins and burning tires. A police spokesman said 111 officers were wounded during the disturbances and that 136 people were arrested. The Prime Minister acknowledged the Ethiopian community faced problems but told protesters not to block roads. Tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews were brought to Israel in the 1980s and 1990s. They say they have faced systematic discrimination, racism, and a lack of empathy for their hardships ever since. An attack which killed more than 44 migrants at a detention center outside the Libyan capital could constitute a war crime, a UN official said. At least 130 people were injured in the attack, which the Libyan government blamed on an airstrike by forces loyal to a warlord, General Khalifa Haftar stated. That's actually to a warlord, General Khalifa Haftar. General Haftar's forces accused the government side of shelling the center. Most of the dead are believed to be sub-Saharan Africans who were attempting to reach Europe from Libya.
In relation to this incident last night, the coordinates of this detention center is well known to both sides. And we are hugely concerned that these detention centers may be being used to store weapons and military equipment. All parties must abide by not targeting civilians in their attack, and there needs now to be an immediate investigation into who's responsible for this attack and the individuals involved to be held to account.
And lastly, in our international news segment, Italian former journalist David Maria Sassoli has been selected as the new president of the European Parliament. Mr. Sassoli, 63, received the support of 345 out of a total of 667 MEPs in the second round of voting in Strasbourg. The vote comes a day after EU leaders agreed nominations for the bloc's top jobs, with a woman named Ursula von der Leyen for the first time being proposed as European Commission chief. The BBC's Adam Fleming reports.
The reason she's here is because the next stage of the process in her becoming European Commission President is securing a majority of votes from MEPs here in Strasbourg. And some of them are quite critical of her personally, and also the process by which her name was almost plucked from the air in private by national leaders, rather than the fact that she went through a process where she put herself forward explicitly for the job.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Center and City Drugstore Nevis, your one-stop shop for all your school supply needs. Get bundle savings on backpack and computer packages, but save 20% off all back-to-school materials and printers. Back-to-school shopping is made easy at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. See stores for details.
Welcome back, and now on to the sports. In cricket, England surged into their first World Cup semi-final since 1992 with a defeat over New Zealand at Chester-le Street. The hosts are set to finish third in the group and will meet India or Australia at Edgbaston next Thursday for a place in the final. Needing to defeat the Black Caps to be sure of progressing, England was led by Johnny Bairstow's dominant 100, his second century in the space of 4 days. New Zealand have now suffered 3 successive defeats and slipped to 4th in the table. The scores were as follows: England 305 for 8 in 50 overs, Bairstow 106, Roy 60, Nisham 2 for 41. New Zealand 186 in 44.5 overs, Latham 57, Taylor 28, Wood 3 for 34. England won by 119 runs. In more cricket, prior to heading off to Trinidad, the Leewards under-17 team won games 3 and 4 of the warm-up matches of West Indies under-17 tournament. The summary scores were as follows: Game 3, Leewards under-17 180 all out in 47.5 overs. Anderson Amadan 38, Clinton Rees 32, Carl and Bowen Tuckett 24, Jaden Carmichael 21, Glenton Williams 5 for 26, Asher Cornelius 3 for 17, Meandre James 2 for 38. Antigua and Barbuda combined scores 90 all out in 35.1 overs. Dimitri Lucas 20 not out. Dihari Francis 15. Acadianto Willett 4 for 20. Jaden Carmichael 2 for 14. Kelvin Pittman 1 for 8. Rashid Henry 1 for 11. Kenny Sutton 1 for 13. Leewards under-17 won by 90 runs. And in Game 4, Antigua and Barbuda combined scores 106 for 7 in 15 overs. Troy Pay 46, Michael Greaves 24, Anaji Amrith 3 for 20, Jaden Carmichael 2 for 3. Leewards under-17 107 for 7 in 14 overs. Carl and Bowen Tuckett 42 not out. Anderson Amadan 25, Hilroy Andrew 13, Nathan Edward 9 not out. Dimitri Lucas 2 for 16, Meandre James 2 for 27. Leewards under-17s won by 3 wickets. In athletics, the World Anti-Doping Agency has identified a target pool of almost 300 athletes with the most suspicious samples taken from the Russian Anti-Doping Agency's laboratory in Moscow. WADA took data from 2,262 samples from the Rosada laboratory in January. Of those, 578 samples taken from 298 athletes were made a priority for investigation. WADA has now sent evidence about 43 of those athletes to their respective international federations. Additionally, it says those federations have commenced assessment with a view to identifying those cases to take forward as anti-doping rule violations. And lastly, in our sports segment in tennis, Andy Murray and Serena Williams' highly anticipated partnership in the Wimbledon mixed doubles will begin against Germany's Andreas Mies and Chile's Alexa Garucci. Britain's Murray, 32, will play with the American great as he continues his recovery from major hip surgery. Britain Jay Clark will partner with 15-year-old American Corey Goff, who beat Venus Williams in the singles. Jamie Murray and Bethany Mattek-Sands face Great Britain's Joe Salisbury and Katie Dunn. Jamie Murray and the Americans start on the opposite side of the draw to Andy Murray and Serena Williams, meaning the brothers could only meet in this competition in the final. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. The weather tonight will continue to be partly cloudy with a 20% or a slight chance of showers. The winds are easterly, then becoming east-southeast at 13 to 28 kilometers per hour or 7 to 15 knots. The seas are 1 to 1.2 meters or 3 to 4 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:41 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Newtown man stabbed to death by family member in St. Kitts, and Prime Minister Harris denies corruption allegations, calls an opposition leader to be a statesman. Regionally, Dominica's Prime Minister maintains that the time has come to make way for a new party leader. Internationally, U.S. trade deficit surges to 5-month high as imports soar. And in sports, England reaches semi-finals of ICC World Cup following win over New Zealand. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a pleasant evening.